Hi, my name is Toby from Toby Time Crochet, and in this video I'm going to crochet a gummy bear using my gummy bear crochet pattern. And I'm going to be using an 8mm hook, Bernat baby blanket. I'll need a few stitch markers and a tapestry needle. This pattern includes two sizes, a large and a small, and I will be working the small size. If you'd like to follow along, you can find this pattern on Etsy, Ravelry, and Ribblr. Okay, so we're going to work the small version. Round 1, we're going to make a slip knot, chain 10, and then starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to 1 single crochet in the next 9 chains. So let's make our slip knot. And we're going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And before I start adding single crochets, I just want to show you that here's the V. Let me get a little closer. Here's the V of each chain. And what we're going to do is single crochet into, well, not here. We're starting in the second chain from the hook. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 9. And then we're going to come work on the other side of that chain of that V, and we're going to work into this side 9 times. We're going to have a total of 18 stitches for round 1. So starting in the second chain from the hook, which is right here, we're going to add 1 single crochet in the next 9 chains. Let me put a stitch marker there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we're just gonna turn it like this. Work into the other side. 9 single crochets going down this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now round 2, this is not written in the pattern, but I'm going to show you because sometimes this right here, this is when we chained 10 in round 1 and we started in the second chain from the hook. So that first chain, this is technically the first chain. And sometimes that can be a little bit loose. If you chain really tight, or at least that last chain, then you probably won't have that problem. But this is what I like to do when that's a little bit loose. I'll insert my hook into that chain and pull up a loop, and then I'll go into the first stitch, pull up a loop, and pull through all 3. And that's my first stitch of round 2. And round 2 is actually 2 single crochets in the next stitch and 1 single crochet in the next 2. So we're increasing to 24 single crochets for this round. So 1, 2 in the same stitch, and now 1 single crochet in the next 2, which is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's the end of round 2. And you can see how it's kind of trying to curl it this way, but you want to make sure that you keep your right side of the stitches on the outside and the wrong side on the inside. Cut this tail. Now rounds 3 through 10 is 1 single crochet in each stitch. So let me work that real quick. Okay, now we're ready to start round 11. Before we start, we want to be facing the front. So your beginning stitch marker should be towards the back side to the right. And what we're going to do is decrease over the front half of the stitches. We have 24, so we're going to decrease over the front 12 evenly. I crochet 2, 1, 2. Then the next 12 are centered for me. So let's put a stitch marker here just to make sure. 1, 2, so in the third one here. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's put a stitch marker here. And now if these 12 stitches are centered with the front, then that's where I'm going to decrease 6 times. So let's go ahead and start. Round 11, 1 single crochet in the next 2. 1, 2. Now we're going to decrease, invisible decrease 6 times over these 12 stitches. What I do is insert my hook into the front loop of the next stitch, and then I insert my hook into the front loop of the next stitch. Yarn over and pull through both of those loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. We'll do that 6 times. Now we're going to 1 single crochet in the next 10 stitches. Okay. So for round 12, we're going to add those stitches back. So we're going to add 2 single crochets into each of those decreases. So we're going to add 1 single crochet in the next 2. And this is where my decreases started in the previous row. So we're going to add 2 single crochets into each one of those. 1, 2. And then 1 single crochet in the next 10. Okay, so this obviously is the body, and what we just made was the neck, and now we're going to move on to the head part of the gummy bear. And my intentions for this design were to make sure that the back side of the gummy bear was more flat-ish, and that this front was the tummy, and this is the neck. So Let's go on to round 13. It's going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. Okay, round 14, this is where we're going to start to create the shape for the snout. And let's see. So what we're going to do is crochet until we get to the center 3 stitches. And in those center 3 stitches, we're going to add 2 single crochets. We're going to increase and add 2 single crochets into each of those 3 stitches. For me, I can crochet 7 and reach the center for my beginning stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that means that these 3 stitches right here are the center. So for me it's 7. For you, if your beginning stitch marker is in a different place, just make sure that you're adding those 3 increases in the center of the body. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's add 2 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 single crochet in the next 14. Okay, round 15 is 1 single crochet in each stitch, and you should have 27 stitches for this round. And then in the next round, round 16 will decrease. But round 15, 1 single crochet in each stitch. Okay, round 16, this is where we're going to decrease in the center 6 stitches. So we increased by 3, so now we're going to decrease to create that kind of hump. For me, it's 7 stitches before I reach those center 6. So round 16, 1 single crochet in the next 7, or until you reach the 6 front center stitches, and then you're going to invisible decrease 3 times. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's center. So let's invisible decrease 3 times. Insert my hook into the front loop of the next stitch, and then I insert my hook into the front loop of the next stitch. Yarn over, pull a loop, yarn over, and pull through both of those loops. Okay, and then 1 single crochet in the next 14. Okay, you see how we have that hump for the snout? So round 17 and 18, it's 1 single crochet in each stitch, and then we'll create the ears. Okay, now we're at round 19 where we're going to create the ears. And what we're going to do is kind of fold this like this, and I'm going to show you. We're going to put an ear here, an ear here, an ear back here, and back here. That way we can match them together when we're sewing it closed. My beginning stitch marker is back here, and we're going to want to create the first ear on the front half of the stitches. I'm going to crochet 3, and then I'm going to move my stitch marker. So I'm going to take this out, crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and what that does is bring us to the front 12 stitches, and these are the back 12 stitches because we have a total of 24 stitches right now. So now we're going to add 1 single crochet, and that's where we're going to put our beginning stitch marker. Now we're going to add 3 half double crochets in the next stitch. That is the first ear. So now we're going to 1 single crochet in the next 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to create the other ear. So we're going to add 3 half double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 single crochet in the next. Okay, that's the first half. Now we're going to repeat the same thing on the back side. So we're going to add another single crochet and then 3 half double crochets in the next stitch. And 1 single crochet in the next 8. Now we're going to crochet the last ear, 3 half double crochets in the next stitch. And 1 single crochet in the last stitch. Okay, so let's line this up. They match up perfectly. So now we're going to, what is that? We're going to stuff and then sew this up. I've got plenty of stuffing here, and I'm just going to take small bunches and shove it to the bottom. Now I'm going to sew up or start to sew up the top, and then I'm going to stuff the head as I go. I still have plenty of stuffing, so let's go ahead and pull your end out of the loop. Take your large tapestry needle. Okay, and let me get in a little closer so we can see this. So here is the last stitch, and here is the first stitch. And what we're going to do is go from front to back into both of those stitches. And we're going to start to sew it closed. So come back around to the front into the next stitch and into the next stitch in the back and sew that closed. And then just keep doing that from front to back into both stitches. We'll stitch a couple of more and then we'll start stuffing. Now we're going to make the arms and the legs. They're made the same way, so we're going to make 4. Round 1, magic circle, 6 single crochets in the magic circle. Now in the pattern I suggest that you join and chain 1, or you can work in the round without joining, that's your preference. At the time that I wrote this pattern, that's what I was preferring, but for this video, I'm not joining, I'm not chaining 1, I'm just working in the round. And now here, if you have trouble seeing your stitches, use a tapestry needle to count backwards, and use it to also lift the stitch up so you know where you're going to put your hook. Round 2, we're going to add 2 single crochets into each stitch for a total of 12 stitches for round 2. Round 3, we're just going to add 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 12 stitches for this round. So this is the part where I'm going to snip the beginning tail, and then I'm going to pull the end, or I'm going to cut the yarn, and then I'll pull the end out of the loop, and we're going to use a tapestry needle to join to the next stitch. So I insert under both loops, and then I come back around and insert the tapestry needle in the back loop only of the previous stitch, and then I go back into the next stitch, and then I am ready to sew onto the bear. Next, we're going to sew the arms and the legs onto the body. I always start with the bottom right leg. I don't know why. I just like to do things exactly the same. It just kind of works better that way for me. I like to make sure that I sew that leg towards the bottom and a little bit to the side. I keep the working end to the top and to the right. I count about 4 or 5 stitches down from the neck, and that's where I'm going to start. I try not to overthink it. It's soft fuzzy yarn. It doesn't have to be stitched on there perfectly. I just kind of go where, you know, where it looks best, I guess. Sometimes I have to pull it out or pull it tighter. Here we go. Going to insert our tapestry needle into that stitch, and I'm going to go into the same stitch as the working end. And like I said, just try not to overthink it. I just want to get a good grip on that stitch. Get in there, pull it tight, and just go around in a circle. To me, I think this is probably the hardest part, is making sure that the arms and legs are sewn on there evenly and that all 4 match, because if one is off, it can be kind of obvious. So I'm showing you how I'm doing it in real time, and there have been times where I pull out my stitches and redo it. And even right here, you can see where I'm kind of struggling, like, where am I going to put this next stitch? And then I found it. I want it to be near the next stitch, not too far away. There we go. And I'm also making sure to go towards the bottom. You can see this is where the bottom row is right here, and I want to go into these next 2, in between those next 2 rows, because I like for that leg to be flush with the bottom. Not that the bears are meant to stand up by themselves, but they do. If you sew the legs just right, you can kind of stand them up on their own. See, that's looking good. It's looking good. So I do like to stuff the arms and the legs just a little bit, just to kind of keep it puffed up and round, but I do not overstuff them. To me, it doesn't really look that great when I put too much stuffing. So there's a little bit of a gap right there, but once I insert the tapestry needle into that stitch, it'll close up. Now I'm going to loop that end into a stitch just like this, and then I'm going to add a little knot and then weave it back into the body. So now we're going to sew on the second leg, and I'm going to do it exactly the same way. I like to keep that working end at the top and to the right, and in the same row as the other leg. This one is a little bit, I think I had a hard time with this one. I pulled out a few of the stitches and started over. Once you get a few stitches on, you can kind of see where you need to put it so that it matches up with the other leg. Now we're going to sew on the arms, and it's done the exact same way. I keep the working end at the top and to the right, and then I sew just under the crease in the neck, or the decrease in the neck, or where that indentation is. And like I said, just don't overthink it. I've done this so many times where I overthink it and I wind up having to pull out my stitches and redo it. And I found that if I just go in there and do it where it feels natural, I have no problems. And I sew right up to that row where the legs are stitched on. And there is where I go right through those stitches. Now we're sewing on the last arm. It's the exact same way. The working end is to the top and to the right, and I'm working right just under the indentation of the neck. And I'm showing you how I sew on each arm and leg in real time. And I can only guess that maybe that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part for me. Everything else seems pretty easy to me. This is the hardest part. I don't like sewing things, and it's so hard to get things like this sewn evenly and perfectly. But like I said, this yarn is so forgiving, and it's so soft and cuddly. And if something isn't exactly perfect, it's okay. It's a Stuffie. And I try to keep that in mind while I'm sewing things. Okay, so the body, the arms, and the legs are done. Looks pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with it. Next, we're going to work on the snout. And that also, if you don't want to add the snout, you don't have to. It looks good without. But if you do want to add the snout, what we're going to do is, in a magic circle, add 6 single crochets. We're not going to join or chain 1. We're just going to work in the round. There's only 2 rounds. So round 1, magic circle, 6 single crochets. Round 2, we're going to add 3 single crochets in the next stitch and 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches twice. So here I'm adding 3 single crochets in that first stitch. That's 3. Now 1 single crochet in the next 2. 1, 2. Now we're going to add 3 single crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now it says to add 1 single crochet in the next 2, and I'm adding 1 in the next, but I'm going to stop here and I'm going to use my tapestry needle to join to that last stitch. That's not written in the pattern. You can absolutely add 1 single crochet, or you can slip stitch in that last stitch, whatever you want to do. For me, this seems to work best. It's all preference, but I know there's a couple of things that are different from the pattern, but I just want to help you make a good gummy bear, and these are little tips and tricks that are hard to write in text in a pattern. So with the tapestry needle, thread your end through that next stitch, both loops, then come back around and insert into the back loop only, and then insert from back to front in that next stitch again. Let's snip that end a little shorter. Okay. Now both of those increases should be on either side of that snout, and that working end is going to go in the center bottom of those rounds that we're going to work over. We're going to work over, see, this is round 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, and 14. So 16 through 14 is where we're going to sew the snout. And what I'm going to show you here in a second is, come on, Toby, show it. Here we go. You see where those increases are? Those 3 increases. We're going to go right underneath it, right in the center, and we're going to go right into that same stitch that has the working end. And it's the same thing with the arms and the legs. Just try not to overthink it. What we're trying to do is make sure that this one is as even as possible without stressing about it. Because this one is right in the center of the face. It can be very obvious if it's not centered. We just try to do the best we can, and the yarn is very soft and forgiving. And also there's a couple of times where I'll go through the same stitch twice just to make sure that it's sewed down completely and not kind of, I don't want to say sticking out, but we want this to look as flush as possible with the head, and sometimes that means going over it twice. So here in this part, I'm noticing something that looks a little bit loose. So I'm gonna loosen up my stitch, and then I'm gonna pull the end tighter. And there, that looks much better. I didn't show you, but that's what I did. And so here you can see where I'm gonna go in that same stitch twice. I don't do that for every stitch, it's just kind of eyeballing it and seeing where that needs to be done. I also want to mention that I do not stuff the snout. You can if you want to, but I don't feel like it's necessary. I just press the snout flat up against the bear and sew it that way, and it kind of puffs out on its own. It doesn't really need any stuffing, but that's up to you. That's your preference. So here in this part, I'm noticing that there's a stitch that's kind of puffing out, and then there's what is that, like the front loop of the last stitch that's kind of showing too much, and I want it to be more flush with the head. So I'm inserting my tapestry needle, trying to, right in front of it, and then I'm going to stitch right back down below it, and hopefully that'll take care of it, which I think it does. Let's see. Yes, much better. So we're going to finish off that last end and snip it. And that's it. He's done. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope that it helps you make plenty of gummy bears. And if you have any questions, if you need any help, I'm more than happy to help you and answer any questions that you have about this pattern. Thank you so much for watching.